He's the director of Curse of the Weredeer, a horror comedy set to release early 2023. He is Ben Johnson, and this is Slasher Sports Cinema.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
I'm your number one fan.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
God, it knows I'm here.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
You're listening to the Slasher Sports Show with Billy Graves.
Welcome to the show, Ben.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going very well. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And,
What
now
a,
that-
a wonderful movie, by the way. Thanksgiving.
that thing is a pile of shit, and I love it.
I mean, the way it starts is brilliant. There's something. What is it? There's like a text scroll right at the beginning where it tells you is sort of exactly what you'll see in the first like 30 to 45 seconds, and they deliver. And beyond that, who cares about the rest of the movie? As long as they hit that, it's wonderful.
Well, there's something that I've professed for a long time is bad horror films are better than bad films of any other genre. And if you can't sit through Thanksgiving, then really 50% of what I have to offer anybody is out the window.
Well, I mean, so there's a level of bad to horror that is that I think is a challenge sort of these days, right? Like if you look at movies that are too self-aware or that are too try hard to be quote unquote bad movies, they're garbage. Like they're horrible and you can't sit through them. It's if every like 5 minutes there's 2 to 3 minutes in some of them, if there's this fucking like this nod that's like oh look guys, oh we did a bad thing, look, oh we're a bad movie, then it's trash. But if someone's coming through and they're making something from the heart, but maybe it's not executed as well as it could be, or some of the scenes show,
Or even budget.
right, there's like a level of charm to it. Do you know what I mean? There's
Absolutely.
there's a massive difference in people who have too much money and try to make a thing intentionally bad, as opposed to people who had no money who are trying to do something good. Like you can tell the difference, and I think that it's the latter that permeates as far as what we consider bad movies. I think that's the thing. Yeah,
That's a fun dichotomy once you really think about it, because my parents, lately I've been showing them horror films when I go over on like the weekend or something, and it's going to be something that maybe I think they haven't seen before. So we talked about Halloween. We watched most of the Halloween movies during Halloween season.
nice.
I said, well, here comes Thanksgiving, so we need to do something. And I don't know what the past tense is. I forewent Thanksgiving and went with the old trusty Blood Rage. And Blood Rage isn't one that is necessarily thought of as a Thanksgiving movie, but it happens to take place during Thanksgiving. Why do I know this? Because there's about a 5-minute scene where there's a turkey on the table.
And sometimes that's literally all you need, right? Like a little bit of set dressing. A little bit of set dress goes a very, very long way.
And you could really maybe say it's the Die Hard of Thanksgiving films. I mean,
Wow.
it's going on. We know it's going on because I saw a turkey a few minutes ago. But the rest of this is just, no bras and murder. And what else do you need on Thanksgiving, right?
Not-
Nobody's dressed for the weather. First of all, I don't know where it takes place. Maybe it's out west, maybe it's in Florida. I don't know. But Blood Rage, everybody is dressed for summer for the most part.
Well, and that's sort of the other thing too, that becomes like a little bit of a challenge when you're doing this kind of stuff, is remembering season and making sure that some of that fits. I watched a movie recently that's supposed to be a Christmas movie, right? Everything in it screams, we shot this in June. You know what I mean? The trees are beautiful and green. It's supposed to be outside of Chicago in December. And if you've been to Illinois, if you've been to Illinois in the fucking wintertime, it's snow everywhere. That's all it is. It's cold, it's freezing. People are wearing 58,000 layers of clothing, and there's none of that in this movie. There's none of it. It's the most absurd thing I've ever seen.
What film was it? Do you remember?
Oh, buddy, do I remember? And it's going to segue right into what we're doing tonight and what we're here to talk about. A wonderful new feature called Curse of the Weredeer. The movie that I watched, and this is crazy to sort of talk about. There's another Weredeer movie. Did you know that?
I did know that. I've not seen it, but I did know it existed. I didn't want to get the two crossed up. And yeah, we are going to dive into this in a little bit, because I want to talk about or at least a little bit how I stumbled upon your film, because it has nothing to do with the fact that we went to high school together,
right?
Nor that we grew up in the same one-horse town that was a population of less than 2,000.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with that. It was accidental. But yeah, that's the fun part about it, Ben, is, the things that you remember are often funny. Okay. Yeah. Because you and I, again, we grew up in the same town,
right?
Population of fewer than 2,000. That's not exaggeration. No. Right now it's a little over 2,000, but when we were there, it was plenty below 2,000 people. It may have been.
I think now, and we did a little bit of research for our film, because we turned Westmoreland into South Tromaville. I'm so sorry. This is the most ridiculous.
For what?
To do. My dog wants to go outside.
Listen, pet. This is a pet friendly show.
So I apologize about that.
This is a pet friendly show.
So I'm our writer Jimmy Adamson was doing a little bit of research, and he looked up the population of Westmoreland, and I want to say right now it's like
2089 is what the sign said.
Is what?
2089 is what the sign said.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to go to? The sign that you guys made?
Yeah. And then we did the old what do you call it? Citizen Taxi gag, where they have to just start putting up new numbers, is what we did. So we have, as people are dying, we're hanging up other numbers. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's actually a great gag, because it didn't occur to me. I saw a still picture of the sign, and I said, huh, so that's the population of our little homestead.
Jimmy Adamson does beautiful research. He understands Google like nobody I've ever known.
Jimmy, I think Jimmy Adamson and I have connected on social media.
Very good.
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, a lot of the people that I've connected with over the last year are because of stumbling across this film. Now, just thinking about the things that you remember about people. Again, we grew up in the same place, but we did not ever really cross paths.
No,
during that time.
From what I know, we sort of ran in similar circles.
Very similar. The Venn diagram lapses, but
right. It's one of those things where it's like we're all sort of around here, and the 2 points never really sort of hit. Yeah,
right. And that was purely accidental. It wasn't avoiding anybody. Well, maybe I was. I don't know, but I remember specifically, I did not have to do any Jimmy Adamson research on this. I did just right here.
Oh,
I remember a yearbook quote.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that yearbook quote was something around the lines of, "What's your favorite animal?" Do you remember
Yes.
what you answered?
I believe it was it may have been aardvark.
A fucking aardvark.
Yeah.
To this day, I don't know what a goddamn aardvark is, but
It's like an anteater, right?
Is that
It's
what it
got
is?
the weird nose. It's
Is
the
it-
whole
it's got the
yeah.
snout, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then I was in the right genus, at least.
Yeah.
I was in the
Yeah,
right
they're
genus.
they're the same sort of family. They're the same, basically the same thing. I mean,
Well, speaking of anteaters, Justin Calvert is probably the he's probably the harbinger of what I guess made this union happen. Because when you're digging around on social media,
right?
you kind of realize that, man, there are people that I should have hung out with back then that I didn't, and people that I shouldn't have been hanging out with that I did. Okay.
Well, that's
And I think
That
that's
can also be
universal.
said about now. That can also be said about now. Like,
If only we had, if only we had like a time capsule in 2042 to know that, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have been hanging out with that guy. But
right.
I thought to myself, man, Justin Calvert was a guy that I should have been hanging out with. I played baseball. I was, in the athletic realm of things, but I did not fit in with the athletic crowd. Okay.
Sure.
Not even a little bit. I actually fit in more with the band kids, because if I look at my people, like my very best friend in the world was not a band kid. But if we look at Mean, Median, and Mode,
Right.
as your sweet mother, may have taught me, other than there's no fucking chewing gum in my classroom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You spit that shit out. You don't bring it in.
Don't fucking bring that in. Don't spit it in my trash can. You spit it in that trash can.
And it's not going under my desk. Yes.
No, it's not. Oh God. Oh, my best friend in the world, athlete. More of my friends were not athletes.
Right.
They weren't on the baseball team. They didn't play football with me. They were just nerds who did other things. And I could name a few names, but what's the point? With that said,
yeah, fuck them. Who needs them?
Fuck them.
Yeah.
That best friend of mine, who actually co-hosted my previous podcast, Slashers and Screamers, his name is James Brown, the godfather of Droll, if I may say so. Tank himself.
Yes.
He told me, he said, "Hey man, there's some dudes up in Motown," which is what we call Westmoreland. They are in Motown and they are looking for some real estate to make a movie. Yeah. And I said, "The hell you say? I need to learn about that." And he told me, he dropped some names on me. And I don't know if he told me specifically your name. Maybe he spoke to somebody who, approached him about possibly filming on, the farm, his uncle's farm. And I said, well, that's pretty badass. We need to, support that if we can find it, or if it ever happens. And this was probably in the very early stages.
Very early. Yeah.
Very,
and it was
very
me.
early.
It was me, actually.
Okay. So that's, I guess it's just one of those things where you don't remember, because you talk about 1,000 things in a night, and it's like, okay, well, I hope it happens. We'll see. I had not yet, delved into slasher sports like,
right.
We've created now. So, out of sight, out of mind. Fast forward a little while, and I'm talking to probably Justin Calvert, and I start seeing tags, and I'm like, there's that fucking movie that James was talking about. I need to see who all's involved in this. And I looked at the trailer. I saw that swipe across Justin's, and I said, oh God, this is definitely something I need to be looking at. I need to find this and figure out who's behind it all. And I'll be goddamned if it's not Ben Johnson.
I mean, what do you do? So like there, I always wanted to do something in Westmoreland, and I had originally reached out because what we were gonna do was shoot October of last year. So a little over a year ago now, we were supposed to shoot October. My dad's at the time 79, got COVID and ended up in the hospital for like 3 weeks, right? And this all happened right before we were supposed to start shooting. So I reached out to the kids that I work with in New York, and I was like, guys, we're pressing pause. I have to wait. I have to see what happens. It was late. The fact that we have to put things in these terms now is so ridiculous, but it was like late pandemic, right? So Pops was sick. He's good now. He's out. He's back at work where he wants to be. So God bless. 80 years old, kicking, still chock full of piss and vinegar. And so we pushed pause, and then we shot in April. And the more I got to thinking about it, the more it was like, well, maybe we need a location. Maybe a camp is too hard. Maybe it's. We really looked at the script, and we took those extra sort of few months to kind of break things down a little bit more. Well, we really only have these exteriors. Yeah, it'd be cool, but there's woods over at your dad's house. We're not doing a bunch of woody stuff. Let's maybe play with what we have and what we really have access to. And then we ended up using the laundromat as our production house throughout for about 3.5 weeks. Laundry tub, Westmoreland, Tennessee. Come through, hang out. The other side, we really did turn into like a full-blown production office. We had computers and desk, and the back. So half the building is an entire laundromat, runs all the way to the back of it. The other half of the building is like 2 office spaces up front, and then in the back of it is this open and empty warehouse, sort of warehousey type space. And that's where we did a lot of the more graphic stuff that you'll see in the feature. But we also used that in the short for the scientist area. We used that in our short for that in the teaser trailer. And then it's neat when you've got like a little bit of space and you get like a little creative with what you have, right? Why reach out too much? And then it got to be a thing where it was like 30 people, and I was like, I don't want to bring all these fucking people out to somebody else's space and like all these cars and whatever. Like I felt more like we could control things operating there and then using these other spaces. I felt like there was a more of a level of control to it. I was wrong, but I was very wrong.
But it was an educated guess.
Yeah.
it just didn't go right. But let's pause real quick and go back in time. All right. So you graduated high school in what, 99?
98.
98. I'll be damned. Okay.
Yep.
So I graduated in 2000.
There you go.
So I was incorrect. You were not a year ahead of me. You were 2 years. Well, it was actually 2000 or before that you started your venture into filmmaking, and I had no idea. You did some what was it, some production work?
So
or you were an intern somewhere?
Yeah. My first year in college, I went to Western. Didn't know what I was going to do. I was trying to be a psychology major. That wasn't working out for me for reasons that'll become clear across this interview.
If they haven't already.
But then I moved to Memphis, and they had a communications program, and I'd always been interested in movies. And at the time, Western Kentucky did not have any sort of film-based whatever. I moved to Memphis, got into the film program there, and that was spring of 90, 98, 99. That was fall of 99. And then by spring of 2000, I'd really I'd really sunk my teeth into like B movies. I had always been, since I'm like 10 years old, I'd always been a Trauma fan. The first time I remember seeing like that little oval logo was at True Value Hardware and Video, when True Value had the video store attached to it, right before it became the Antique Mall. This is nobody's going to find this interesting. You know that, right, Billy? This is
No, they're not. But guess
way
what?
too much inside fucking baseball here. So,
well, you know what? Speaking of sports, True Value Hardware. Let's talk about True Value Hardware for a minute. It's a hardware store, but it's also a movie rental, right?
Right.
And I just happened to play Pee Wee basketball, and the team that I played for was True Value. They were our sponsors. So
now Westmoreland though was like king as far as like video store combos with things, because in the 80s and 90s, like when VHS was at its height, because not only was there True Value Hardware and Video, Wilkerson's Florist in Video. They had the flower shop had a video store attached to it. Eagle Tanning in Video,
and they came along even a little bit later.
Yeah, truly. That was probably like what, 95, 94, 95, somewhere in there.
Sounds right.
And then over there by Creasy's had a video store attached to the gas station at one point. At one point, Westmoreland, I think, had like five video stores.
For 1,900 people, probably.
Right. Isn't that the best part of it, though? Like that's, but that should tell you something about where like home video rental really was, and like what it arguably should still be, right? Like before Blockbuster came in and really started like crushing, except in a town of 2,000 people. I'll balloon it a little, and we'll call it.
And really even a town of 9,000 at the time, like Portland, because I actually lived closer to Portland, which is the neighboring town.
Yeah.
The only thing that Portland is going to be known for is Corey Brewer, the famed basketball player. Went to high school here, and then of course there's a country singer who sang "Older Women Make Beautiful Lovers." So, I'll take Corey on that one. Yeah, if we're picking out in the yard, I'm taking Corey all day long. But I mean, we have those video rentals here, and I think there still is one. Captain Video is still alive and thriving. I don't know what the hell there is there. I know they're still tanning, but that was kind of the combo here: tanning and movies. Because Friday rolled around, actually no, Saturday would roll around, and you'd go in, get 2 or 3 flicks, and basically you get to keep them a second day, because it's never going to be open on Sunday.
Absolutely.
There's you gotta use this thing right here. Don't go in on a Friday and have to return it Saturday. Get it Saturday and have to return it Monday.
Look, come on. That's simple math, right? That's all that is simple math. And I remember like what was it? There was a guy named maybe I shouldn't give both of his names, but his name was Joe. And he worked at True Value, and arguably the most irresponsible store employee. However, I got to know him very well because I was in there so often. I bought on one of these weird little school trips Woodstock. I was big into music when I was a kid. I still am. I love music.
That alternative scene really hit us at the right time.
I mean, to be a child in the 90s, right? Like, man. Oh my God, like in your what is it? To be a tween into a teenager in the 90s was magical. But Joe, so I went on a school trip. I bought the double VHS of Woodstock, right? And I was talking with him because we would also talk music. He would rent me movies, whatever. And he goes, "Oh, well, if you watch that real close, take a look at that stone fence. You'll see a guy in these little rose-colored circle glasses, and he had one of those British driving caps on, and he's sitting there smoking something you should never touch." And I was like, "Huh?" And he goes, "That's me." And I was like, "Holy shit." So the video store employee at True Value Hardware is actually in the opening sequence of Woodstock as everybody's showing up, smoking dope on a fucking little like fence as everybody's going.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Same guy is responsible, and I'll tell you this too, because that oval, that trauma oval that I saw, he's the same guy that would rent me like the Toxic Avenger. He rented me all three of them. Fucking what is it? Surf Nazis. Surf Nazis Must Die. I actually bought from Wilkerson's when they were like bringing in newer stuff. I would just go and clear out their like $2-3 movies. Didn't matter what. But that's where I bought Surf Nazis, was at Wilkerson's. And this leads itself back to your previous question about what I was doing in 2000.
I don't even know what I asked. It doesn't matter.
So you had mentioned getting involved in film and production.
Oh, did I ask that? Okay.
You did,
I
yeah.
believe you. I believe you.
From when I
Sounds
when
like something I'd say.
So but anyway, it all goes back. So I'd been very familiar with trauma because of the home video scene. And Lloyd will be the first one to tell you, like, Blockbuster is what killed trauma, because people were going there and everybody was getting all the brand new movies. And then all of a sudden you'd have like 50 fucking copies of we'll say the 90s equivalent of a Marvel movie, right? And fucking
T2 Judgment Day.
There you go. They've got 40 fucking copies of it. And then all of a sudden, Blockbuster is not buying trauma movies because they're making the money off of what just came out of the theater. Whereas you get a small video store in a small town that can survive on 2 copies of T2, but still has to backfill with other older titles, right? With other things. They have to fill it back up. So and I always hit the horror section. And speaking of horror, and Justin's the guy who introduced me to horror movies. I was like, oh, I don't know. Isn't that scary? I don't want to be scared. And then we sat down, and I can't remember, but it was a major franchise. It may have been a Nightmare, it may have been a Friday, I forget which one, but like, he rented it, popped it in, and I was like, my mind was blown. Not only was it hysterical, like some of this shit is just so funny, but it was also one of those things where it's like, this is hardly terrifying. Like, this I can sense the gravitas or whatever the fuck, I can sense the vibe, the feel, the whatever. But at the same time, it is not scary. It's just a spectacle. It's a roller coaster, and that's all it is. It's the safest way to experience any of this stuff. And it's not that I wanted to go out and get knife fingers afterwards. I mean, it's cool to have hanging on your wall or in the background, but
sure. At some point in life, we all started rooting for the heel. I don't know when that happened. Like we went from hoping the girl survives to hoping the killer gets them all.
I mean, if he can, not only if he can get them all, if he doesn't, how's he going to come back and offer the first in the first 5 minutes of the next movie? That's because he's coming back. That's
he is, and we learned that from Friday the 13th, and like, it wasn't him in the first one, but in the opening minutes, Alice gets it with the ice pick in the temple, and like that was my introduction. I'm sure you'll remember back in the day there was a restaurant called Bonanza. I'm sure your folks went. Me and my folks went. You had that buffet. It was fantastic. It eventually turned into Ponderosa, but basically, I had some sisters, and we would wait for our parents to go on date night. Okay, and that would happen like once a month, because again, Westmoreland is not like the most well-off city in the world. There's a lot of paycheck to paycheck people. Yeah. We were one of those growing up. Where I was, they were grown. I was growing up, but I would wait for my parents to go and offer to let me stay with my sister so I could, just hang around the house. And I remember specifically walking through the living room, sitting down, and my parents do not let me stay in the room. because they're watching Friday the 13th Part 2. Okay. And I don't even think I was old enough to read, Ben. I wasn't old enough to read because there's no way I was going to read the title on this thing.
Sure.
But I remembered the color of the cassette. And it was, you had the black cassette. You had like this gray colored strip with a blue block lettering across the front.
Yes.
And so I waited for them to go. They left. I sneak into my parents' closet. I push all the pornos out of the way because I don't want that. I don't want to see Indiana Jones. I don't care about the girls of Cell Block F. I don't care what they're doing. I want to see that thing my parents told me I wasn't allowed to watch. So I grabbed that silver lined blue lettered cassette tape, and I actually checked, how much tape is on each side.
Yep.
When I put it in, I press play, I see which scene it's on. That way I know later on where I need to rewind it to when I finish it.
Yes.
So I rewind it, I play it, I'm just petrified. I can't get out from under my blanket. The music is just stressing me out because that screechy violin chase music that, they play in the opening credits. It's so stress inducing for a 4-year-old. But I was hooked from that time on. And I would venture to say something like that is what you experienced with Justin as well.
That should but that should also tell you how important sound design is to a film too. Sound design is key. And I think a lot of people making things sometimes neglect sound. And it's a major mistake, because look at the impact that had on you as a kid, and just think about when you're creating your own thing. If you're not paying attention to every aspect of your film as you go along, there's so much room for error, and you can play with sound in ways that you can't play with video, right? Like that's the other crazy thing about it. What is it? Our sound guy, James Boylan, wonderful guy. We do a podcast together, Totally Tunular. That's his baby, but he's always in my ear. Like if a take is not good for him, we'll go back and we'll redo it 9 times out of 10, maybe 8 times out of 10. Sometimes if I really like it, I'll be like, well, we'll fix it in the next one. Don't worry about it. And then he looks at me, he's like, you're the guy that's supposed to care about sound. And I'm like, not right now. But but like it's desperately important. And the way you can layer it, the way you can play with it, you can add some of that reverb. You can take natural sounds. I mean, what is it? Chewbacca is literally like 50 animals mushed together and then tweaked and touched, and then that's how you get that weird growl out of them. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you have 5 senses.
Yeah.
You got to touch them all if you can. I mean, if one day, I can see a guy get stabbed on TV and I can taste the blood in my mouth.
It's been done well. That is executed properly. Do you know what I mean? If your brain is hit to that point where you hear like the of it going in and you hear the squish of stuff coming out, you pull, you see the spurt, you see it coming down their tongue and everything else, and you're like, oh fuck, I know what that is.
Well, just think about how many films that we see that are that a lot of scenes take place underwater. Like say it's a shark flick or something where somebody's got to swim from point A to point B. I think about the movie Crawl, which is one that I saw recently. Old Barry Pepper crippled up in the basement, but either way, she's got to outswim these alligators, and she goes underwater. What the thing that happens to me every time, and I've never outgrown this. I see someone go underwater, I hold my breath.
Yes.
out of instinct.
Yes.
And then I realize, I don't have to do this. She's the one in the shit. I'm not.
The longer they're down there too, it's a situation where even just visually have done well. Like if your editor is on point, and if everybody has shot what they need to, fucking your chest starts to feel heavy. It's like it gets harder to breathe. That's what you want to. That's
a sense of dread almost.
That's what you want. That's what you need. If you're not doing it, you're not doing it right.
you can't tell me that horror is not layered in psychology.
Oh, it
Like
absolutely is. Yeah.
it absolutely is. Like comedy and horror are two things that
Yeah.
to me, that's where the Venn diagram is. That's that stuff in the middle. If you can laugh and cringe in the same film, god damn it, you got a piece of work.
And so that's there's another aspect to, and not so much like straight up horror, and not so much like what you would consider sort of those cornerstones, right? Like in Nightmare and stuff, like what is it, Dream Warriors, right? Where he's in everybody's dreams, and that's the prime time bitch, right? That's 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Welcome to prime time, bitch. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's part 3.
And that's the waterbed with the sexy lady on it, and the kid there and everything. So you're hitting these things where it's always sort of those points of interest sort of in the outside world, the things that could be considered anything to take you like away from something, these tempting sort of things, right? Like, and for me, television has always, I'm an only child. Television has been my best friends. Both of my parents worked constantly. I was like a latchkey kid at like 7. So I would be at home alone. Actually, at a point when I think I was maybe 5 or 6, mom was working a second job. Dad was still out on the road. And like, I would be watching Gilligan's Island by myself. And I got a phone call. I would talk with my dad on the phone like every night. And I would talk to him a little bit. And I was like, let me tell you about this brand new TV show. I think it's made just for me. It's called Gilligan's Island. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I really did
Thinking he's never heard of it.
That right, and that someone had tapped into my brain and created this thing that was specifically for me. And I still to this day, Bob Denver, an American treasure, like really. But like if you're not hitting somebody in a different or like an emotional level, if you're not making somebody think, then I don't think the job's being done. And I think we sort of to borrow a term from down here in the South, we fall a little short of the glory. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that about Gilligan's Island, because I thought that same thing about Happy Days.
Nice.
And like I was so naive as a child that I thought that if I could see them, then they could also see me. And so I would like get really close to the speaker on my TV, and it's like a little 15-inch TV, and it would kind of get quiet and be like, "Hey, Fonzie," thinking I'm gonna get him in trouble for talking to him like I do in class or whatever. But god damn it,
you hear what I'm saying? Hey, but
that was for me.
Yeah, done. That's how you knew he was paying attention.
That's how you know. Ben, tell me, did you have any mentors early on when you first got in the game?
I mean, I'm still trying to figure out a game. Is the whole thing. And sort of, I mean, like locally, no. I would suggest in sort of my life, like a person who put a camera in my hand and said, go and create. No, never, not really. No. I had cameras when I was a kid. I would try to make things and nothing was, it's all weird little like VHS-y sort of stuff. It wasn't until I moved to Memphis and I kind of got into film and video like a little older that I really kind of found my footing. I was also one of those kids that was kind of like, well, this would be cool. This would be cool. But then your whole life, you sort of hear you're from bumblefuck. That happens in Hollywood. If you ever want to touch that, you either have to go to New York or Hollywood. And I didn't believe it. I really never believed it. But at the same time, it's what everybody said. It's what they did. Or you had to go to school, get a degree, find a garbage job at like a cable access station and then figure it out from there. And then when you're like in your mid-30s, you move to New York or Hollywood. But what I did do, because I was a huge Trauma fan, and this all comes very much full circle. When I was 20, I sent a note to the office because Trauma's famous for these very long sort of introductions to their movies. They always have been. Originally in like the 80s and 90s, they would even do like a Rompo Peel styled fucking like late night sort of infomercial type thing. You can still find some of that. And that's when Michael Hers was still doing on camera stuff with Lloyd. It was like the two of them together. Michael eventually was like, I don't want to be in front of a camera. And so he stopped. Lloyd, you're the face. And then that's how that happened. But it in all of those VHS releases, you would get 5 to 7 trailers of some of the wildest things you would see. And then you would have this like 5-minute introduction with Lloyd, basically telling you that everything else you're watching is made by the devil, by these giant devil worshiping media conglomerates. It's all fodder. They don't think anything of you. They're just there to steal your money. But while we here at Trauma, we celebrate art, we celebrate the independence. We're working for you. You know what I mean? And I thought a lot of that because he was always giving everybody the finger too at the same time. You know, it was like everything that you thought was entertainment, everything that you thought that you were brought up on is this is what I should be fed. Trauma just flew in the opposite direction. And because, again, of those video stores that had to fill their shelves with anything but that, either it was cheaper or they were just like, fuck, I need 5 movies. I can get these 5 plus 2 T2s and I'm good to go. Right. So I took a lot of that to heart. And there was one, I'd been going to the website in Miss Rippey's class before they started fucking putting like blocks on websites. You used to access some pretty wild shit on your school computers.
Yes, you could.
Even as back as far as like 96, I was looking at the Trauma website once I finally started figuring out what an internet was. Then I realized, oh, I could just email them. They'll never respond. It took years. It took me another 4 years before I did. But in the spring of 2000, I was in my dorm room and I had Toxic Avenger on. I won't tell you what I had in my head. I was on a head full of fun. But then I sent an email. I just sent an email. And it was a day later. It was literally like the next day. I got a reply back. And I was like, how can a kid in Memphis make movies? I've always wanted to, but people tell me there's barriers, there's all of this stuff. What should I do? And then they're like, we have a summer internship program. Can you get to New York? Yeah, I could get to New York. So I talked to my folks. I talked to my professors. And I actually got school credit for my 3 months that I spent in the summer of 2000 in New York. Working at the Trauma building, at the old Trauma building, 733 9th Avenue. I lived in Brooklyn, took the, I took the Blue Line. I think it's the A and C. I took the C train into Hell's Kitchen, to the old Trauma building. It went upstairs and, that kind of started it all for me because that same summer, Trauma was in post-production on the 4th Toxic Avenger movie, Citizen Toxie. They were actively screening Terra Firma everywhere they could, and they were also in production on Trauma's Edge TV. So if you go back and you watch, when Trent Haga is sitting in the office and he's piercing this rubber dick with a fucking safety pin. There's a kid in the background looking at old stills, a very slender, beautiful, fresh-faced young man. That's me. And now I'm just bloated and beardy and yeah. But that
And
was
we wouldn't have you any other way.
I know, please, right? Me neither. Like, but that was my introduction, was sort of trial by fire, and it was an eye opener in a lot of ways, because what you'll find is that people are weirdly accessible, and some of them before it was a thing, before they'll like, oh, again, I got an Elon Musk retweet. Who gives a fuck? Has he read your email? Did he invite you to come and work for you? No. That same summer, we were getting scripts from people, and I got sent home back to the student housing I was staying at up in the city. I got sent home with people's scripts, and Lloyd was like, well, if you see one, that you think Trauma might like, well, tell me about it. And I said, okay, cool. So I spent Saturday and Sunday, and I read like 2 or 3 scripts in full, read them, brought them back in. I don't know. I mean, there are parts of these that are good. There's this thing on page 57. There's this other thing over here. And he was like, you read the whole fucking thing? He's like, read 10 pages. If you don't like it in 10 pages, fuck, tell me that. I'll tell him we don't want it. Why'd you read all of it? And I was like, I thought I was supposed to. I thought that was the right thing. No, 10 pages. Don't waste your time. Where are you from? I was like, Tennessee.
Don't tell him that.
No. Y'all don't need to read that much. But, and to find out that a lot of that, it wasn't that, how do I put it politely? Because I don't want people to think that their stuff doesn't get read or whatever, or that it just gets passed off to just some schlub from Tennessee who's 20 years old. What he was saying in that moment is something that you need to also remember as a filmmaker. If the first 10 pages doesn't really grab you, the first 5 to 10 minutes of your movie is not going to grab a viewer. You see what I mean? Like this, the script, they should match. You will know in that 10 minutes if this is a thing that fits genre, if this is a thing that fits scope, if this fits whatever you're looking for, you should know. And I think that's the lesson that I was being taught in that moment, is really what I think. And I don't mean to discredit any writer who sends their stuff in. Lloyd's actually actively, he tells me often, if you find a script, somebody might, I don't know. I haven't seen one I want to direct yet, but maybe. So
he's an active guy.
Yeah, very, very. Yeah.
I mean, when I watched, I want to say it wasn't Bring on the Damned, because I haven't seen that. It's not done yet. It was Cuck Island. When I saw Cuck Island, and I was like, God damn, Reeves, has Lloyd in the film, and like you would think that he's like not busy, but no, he's very busy. He stays very busy.
So that's another thing. I feel very remiss. I hope he gets to this point in this show, Reeves Elliott does, because I went back and I had watched your interview with him. I watched it at the time, and I watched it a second time because I thought it was so fucking funny. The simple fact that I was the first like 10 to 12 minutes of that conversation, I told myself before we started.
Oh, you're talking about the podcast. I was on Cuck Island. Okay.
Yeah, the podcast that you did with Reeves Elliott. The fact that I was the first like 10 to 12 minutes of that, I sent him a note afterwards, and I was like, really, I should have paid you both for that. That was wonderful. It was very hysterical. Very, very funny. But
I accept payment in peanut butter.
Well, I also have a dog with a jar, so I'll loan you both for a weekend.
I don't need that long.
but yeah, and I'll talk about him the last 12 minutes solely. Just
that works for me.
But like the whole thing there is not only is he accessible, he is willing to do pretty much anything for an indie film. does not have to be a trauma movie. It is it's easier if ultimately you're looking for distribution through trauma. It's an easier thing. But if you look him up on IMDb, he's got literally, I think, like 1,000 cameos, something. It's some outrageous number that you're like, there's no way any person could, but he does.
It's wild. It's so
Yeah.
wild. But yeah, I mean, speaking of Reeves, I had Reeves on, I had Brandon Bassam on, I've
Good.
had Lucky Cerruti,
Nice.
Ben Schatzel.
Yes.
Gonna have Jessa Flux is coming on.
Very nice. Very nice.
Talking about hopefully going to talk about Murder Size.
Ooh, with Kansas Bowling is in that, right? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, so like I want to talk about that because we were talking about the 80s a little earlier. Like, I don't think people understand how big the fitness movement was, like the sweating to the oldies, and then you've got this Let's Get Physical from Olivia Newton-John, and like they've got this whole 80s vibe, and like the hair is ridiculous. It's like sexy 80s, and like Jess is already a hammer of the gods in her own right. So like you've got a fucking movie here that just bites with nostalgia. And I didn't know Jess at the time.
Sure.
But when I saw it, I said, oh my God, I need to see this.
Well,
I have to. It drew me in immediately.
So have you seen a movie called Death Spa?
Death Spa is
1989. It's basically like the spa comes to life and starts killing people, but what you find out is it's like an Indian burial ground or a Native American burial ground.
There you go. That rang the bell. Yeah, I have seen that one.
Beautiful movie, but Murder Size, I feel, gives off like a lot of that, and that's the thing. Jessa, we're actually sharing a table with her at the oh God, and now I'm not gonna remember the name of the thing. I'll post it later. But there's an Evansville horror convention that's coming up, and Shithouse and Jessa are sharing a table there. She's gonna peddle her wares, and I'm gonna peddle 2 t-shirts and maybe a poster.
Peddle what you may, what you can. That's great though. I mean, like you guys, have a pretty tight-knit core. Like, it doesn't matter where you are. If there's space on the table, space will be shared.
I mean,
it's I dig it.
I forget. No. Adam Freeman and Dixie Gers. If you haven't reached out to them, I would highly suggest talking to.
I know for a fact I have Dixie on the socials. I don't know about Adam. Did you say
Adam Freeman? He's the director, producer of a movie called Deadly Dealings. He
friend requested me on Facebook like 10 minutes before you got on.
Are you serious?
I think so. God, I think so.
Beautiful.
If so, oh man, I wish I could.
Yeah, talk to both of them, and Dixie in particular. They did, and I forget the old movie. It might be the same name. No, it's not. But she did a movie called Crazy Fat Ethel, which was a remake of another movie about a woman who gets out of like a psych ward and goes on like killing spree after a brutal sort of sexual assault in the ward, and she kills these guys, and then she goes off and just kills everybody.
Revenge flick.
Yeah, and she's been making a ton of shorts. What is it? Secrets of the Witch, which I actually shot. I don't really get behind a camera too much. I'm not great with telling you which lens to use or whatever. I can find a frame. That is a thing that I can do. I can find an interesting shot, and I know what I'm looking for. Dixie asked me to shoot that for, and it's actually gotten into a few festivals.
And you did shoot it.
I did, yeah.
I thought you were prefacing. She asked me to do it, but I said, "Hell no, go to hell." But no, you did it.
No, I shot it, and it was again, it was an experience, and it's one of those things where I guess because I'm a little insecure with like the technology aspect of it.
Sure.
I know what I'm looking for, though. I know what I'm looking for on a monitor, in a frame. I can tell all day long. That's great. Yeah. Move the shit to this side. Well, if he enters this way, then why are we going this way? Or that just looks stale. You know what I mean? Like there's a couple of things in it. Anyway, but long story short, I got introduced to, I found Dixie, I think, online, like through Crazy Fat Ethel, and I'd reached out to her on Facebook about being the and we don't call them gypsies because we're very progressive. I reached out to her about being our fortune teller.
Yes.
Yeah, gypsy's a horribly antiquated term, and like we're very progressive people. So
In that, yeah, in that context, because there are an actual people
yeah,
called gypsies, and they are not the people who listen to too much Stevie Nicks.
yes,
And
right, right.
you know what
Those
I'm getting
flowy
at.
dresses and the weird sort of hat thing. No,
Yeah, yeah, that is not a gypsy. A gypsy is like Tyson Fury, who comes from a very proud people who
and
were
they're
nomadic.
and arguably disenfranchised, like throughout, and
Arguably, hell, you nailed it though.
they get a bad rap just
Terrible
because
rap.
they had moved and whatever, and they're seen as these vagabond, and that's where the connotation comes in. But I mean, it's not true.
Yeah,
Arguably
it's not
racist.
true, and again, it's not the girl sitting outside on Halloween wearing the dress, listening to Rhiannon on repeat. It's it is a beautiful song, though
Right.
she's not it. But Ben, you guys really motivate me. Okay,
Yeah.
you do. I
Good.
mean this from the bottom of my black little heart. Okay, you make me, like, you, the collective you, like, make me want to make a film, which is like something I've always wanted but never really stepped up and took like the necessary steps to do, because I didn't think it was a possibility. Ben, I heard the same things you did.
Well, and then I spent a summer in the city, and after that, for the next like 3 or 4 years, for about the next 3 or 4 years, I acted as a kind of a trauma ambassador in Tennessee. I would go and, oh man, I forget the name of it, but there was like a little distribution place that I would go to. Trauma would send me boxes of stuff, and then I would just go and kind of be the face and take it to them, and you have the interaction and all that stuff down here. And then ultimately, I moved to Oregon. I stayed connected for a little bit, and then it kind of fell by the wayside. But then in 2008, and this is like, honest to God, dude, this was the thing that blew my mind, right? I was working I was working in the mailroom at Nike, of all places, because Nike's world headquarters is up there, right?
Right.
And I got me that sway dope corporate job, and I worked there for like 11 years, and I moved my way up from the mailroom to I was a I was a recycling coordinator for a little bit, and then I ended up what do you call it, overseeing a part of the recycling program. And then a friend of mine and we introduced composting to Nike's world headquarters, and we kind of changed how they did things. We ultimately got rid of durable we got rid of disposable containers on campus and moved to durables. Like, you could not get a fucking styrofoam cup. You couldn't get a throwaway cup, because me and my buddy Marco got rid of all that. Now, he spearheaded it, but he brought me along with him because I was like, shit, let's be green, baby. And then every time he would move up into a position, I would backfill his old spot. So like it was a very, very nice little thing. But in 2008, I was still in the mailroom, and Troma was screening Poltergeist. And I was like, wow, that'll be sick. I want to go see Poltergeist in the theater. I'll bring a couple of my buddies.
Now, are you saying poltergeist or poultrygeist
Poultrygeist.
with a turkey? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
well, chickens. It's a fried chicken musical that Lloyd made.
It
It
is
all
chicken. It is chicken. Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's the American Chicken Bunker. Yeah. That is the thing. You've got the general what's his nuts that's there, and then Lloyd was the guy in the chicken suit that you would see because he didn't want to put other people in the suit because it would get too hot. So he did it himself. But anyway, so we go to the screening, and fuck it, it's been at least 4 years since I'd seen him in person, and like couple of years since I'd even sent an email or anything, right? It'd been a minute. I'd kind of pulled out and I was living that corporate life, but I took a couple of guys over, and there's a kid in front of me in line who'd been working in the office during Citizen Toxie. He did sound on Citizen Toxie, and he's like, hey, remember? Oh yeah, no, hey, good to see you. Oh, what's your name again? Oh yeah, okay. And then I was back behind him, and I walk up and I say, hey, Lloyd, Ben. And I was like, oh shit, like my heart like fucking just jumped like out of my chest. I was like, oh my God. Like, not only does he remember, but he's happy to see me. I was like, that's crazy. And the guys behind me in line were very impressed, and I had a little tear in my eye. It was very heartwarming. But he does not forget. He doesn't forget. And that's the other thing. The man has a mind like a steel fucking trap. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But
that's absolutely amazing.
Anyway, you said you want to make a movie. What movie are you making? What movie are you making? What's the idea?
Well, the idea, I bounce between a couple of things here, okay? And like, first of all, I don't want to get too schlocky,
right?
I do want to make a serious thing, and I'm leaning towards a short film because you brought up short films earlier with the lady who had asked you to shoot her film.
Yeah, Secrets of the Witch. Secrets of the Witch. Yeah.
So when you brought up short films, like I thought myself, like short films, what am I going to waste my time with short films? And then I started watching short films.
Yeah.
And I said, man, this is basically to me what, and I always go back to this as the example. I should probably get more examples, but When a Stranger Calls is like the perfect short film if you stop the film when she opens the door.
Right. Good.
When you see Pappy O'Daniel standing there, that's when the film should end.
It could end.
it could end right there. And you know how I know? Because when they did the remake, all they did was turn the cold open into a 90-minute feature. They didn't deal with the rest of the stuff, But either way, when I see short films, I'm like, man, this is perfect. And when I see a horror film with a cold open, I tell myself, if I can't watch that cold open as a short film in itself, I don't want it. That's like my 10-page rule.
Yep.
Sort of.
The other thing with that is a lot of times it should be a standalone, or it should leave you asking enough questions to be like, what happens next?
Can we turn it into a feature?
Where am I going from here? Like what? But we got our start doing shorts. A bunch of us worked on hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm.
Most do, right? Most do get started with short films just because of budget and like testing the waters with writing and small sample sizes of techniques and just refining what you can do, right?
I mean, it makes sense to jump into a feature straight away is crazy.
Yeah.
But our little crew, our little team met on Troma's hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, and we all slept on a floor together in a shitty little duplex in Queens. And we dubbed it the Shithouse because we were working on hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. And when we started working together, my buddy Derek Johnson, when it had been, let's see, we wrapped in August, September of 2018, a couple of us got together for the Kabuki Man Returns teaser that the legendary Blood Sackman, Dougie Blood Sackman, he's working on a new Kabuki Man. He's trying to bring back Harry Griswold. So
I
he
hope
shot
that
a
happens.
teaser. Oh my God, fingers crossed. I have some inside baseball. I can't tell you nothing. But anyway,
Surprise me.
but long story short, we worked on that, and then Derek was like, I want to make my own movie. I want to make my own short movie, but I want all you guys to help me out with it. And I'm from Tennessee. We had a couple of kids from New York. Derek had some friends from Kansas. The late great Blade Braxton was one of our stars. Mr. Ben Schatzel, who you've talked to, also one of our stars. Both of them were from Kansas at the time. And we all got together to shoot a thing called Wetworks, which was Derek's baby. That was his brainchild. He directed it. I also reluctantly ended up shooting that because two fucking people, this should tell you a little bit about our team and how we work. Two other people were supposed to bring a camera. I had just bought a camera. And I was like, oh, I'll bring it down and I'll take some stills. It's got video capability. That's great. Cool. Didn't think anything of it. If I can get there, one dude, oh, I was supposed to bring that. Sorry.
I thought you were bringing it.
Yes, it was very much like a dude, where's my camera situation. And then I was like, fuck it. There was a kid who was supposed to be our DP who the morning before our first night shoot took, like, he thought they said peach wine, but it was moonshine, and he cracked it. And this is at like maybe 8-9 o'clock in the morning. We're all supposed to be going to bed because we have a night shoot coming up. This kid cracks it open, and it's not like glug done. It's not like thimble sip over. This motherfucker goes glug glug, sets it down, winds up with his ass in a cooler full of like our ice and water for the night, and then wants to be an asshole to me as I'm fucking trying to sleep on a couch. He's like, little baby, going to sleep now? Drunk fuck. I wanted to smack this kid. I really did, but I didn't. But I told Derek when I woke up, I was like, that kid's not touching my fucking camera. I will shoot it. He can do lights. I don't care. He's demoted. I'm DP now. And so I ended up shooting that. And I won't give his name because I'm not that guy, but I'll tell my story the way I tell it.
What's it rhyme with? Just kidding.
Yeah. I'll tell you later. But anyway, so again, I sort of reluctantly shot that, but it was the first thing that we put together. And if Derek hadn't come to me and said, I want to make a short, I don't know when Shithouse would have happened, when Shithouse would have been a thing. I have no idea. Yeah. So you know, God bless.
You just actually answered a question I was going to ask you about, you know, the genesis of Shithouse Productions, and like I got more than I bargained for. We
just enjoyed ourselves. We just and that's the other thing. I would suggest you find a group of people that not only can you work well together, but that inspires you. You know what I mean? That's the thing I can say about these kids. That's why when we went to do the Weredeer trailer, and that's also Derek's brain baby. Derek and his buddy Joe, his writing partner, they write in Missouri. They were like, what if it was like a werewolf, but like a deer? And then there's the impetus. And they wrote what is it, like a 7 or 8 page script, and it was good. It had like a lot of chill elements to it. And Derek was like, I want to make like an extended trailer the way our friend James did. If you haven't seen it, James Boylan made a thing. Again, I'm going to keep bringing him up too. It's he's my heart. He made a thing called Meat is Murder, which is an old school like Grindhouse trailer.
Yeah.
And he was showing that off at He was showing that off during Shitstorm, and again, it sparked Derek to want to make a trailer, and that's all Weredeer was ever supposed to be. It was supposed to be like our little pandemic trailer, right? So
Just a trailer.
That's it. That's all we were ever gonna do. It's
Well,
all.
what say we look at the trailer, the final trailer?
Let's see it. Let's
Talk
see
me through it. Let's get after it.
Oh my god. So there's Blade. There's Dixie.
There's
Beautiful
Dixie.
Yeah, not a gypsy.
Of course not.
Yeah.
And there's Woodrow.
There he is. Woody Woodrow. See,
Reeves Elliott.
There's so much happening in it, though. It's hard to really explain. But yeah, Blade Braxton, late great, beautiful. Nadia White.
Nadia White. Yeah,
Yes.
she's
Beautiful lady, hell of an actress. I mean, same with Dixie, beautiful lady, hell of an actress. Actress should always come first, but I mean,
absolutely.
there he is. There's the boss.
There's Lloyd giving those deer puns. The Doe Jones
Joe Jones, right?
losing millions of bucks.
And
Look at this.
our first transformation, also shot in the laundromat. All of this stuff that you're seeing, shot in the laundromat.
And there's Justin, that rat bastard.
I love the deer light. People fought me on that, and I was like, no, I'm just going to keep saying it and seeing it. Yeah.
Hated to censor it, but YouTube
Well, I mean-
would eat us up, you know?
I respect that. But, you know what? It's still fun.
Woodrow's
All
a
shot
funny guy.
in the front of compelling on screen, too, right? How do you not end it with a deer in headlights? You know what I mean?
You have to. And what's funny is I think maybe there were a couple of scenes that you showed me where Derek does this thing where he prolongs his reaction.
Yes.
There's the deer in the headlight, and then there's another scene where I think maybe he looks inside of something and then turns around and screams, and then looks back in and turns around and screams.
So that's from the feature. That's absolutely from the feature. That's actually that's a rip on God, we do the I think it's the Evil Dead sort of smash at the end of that. I think repetition is funny personally. I always think that's good if done right. But then that push in that you see with camera on that last big screen in that moment, absolute Evil Dead rip. And that was our DP, Sam Zhang, who is now at AFI. We lost our de facto DP after a few shorts. He's gone on to bigger, broader things. So it breaks my heart, but to watch the babies grow.
Gosh. Well, to answer your question, because I never did do that.
What are you making?
I was deflecting. I was deflecting, and because I mean I don't have a lot of concrete, anything to really throw. I just have like ideas that like first of all, I'm absolutely in love with the slasher genre because I would want to make a slasher film. I don't know if I want to go in the direction of found footage or something like that, because I mean, like, I don't know how it'll end up, but I am thinking about the found footage slasher type of project. There are a couple of directions I could go with, like a rural setting, since the familiarity is with rural life is already something that's not like foreign to me,
right?
I'm also thinking about something revolving around child trafficking to bring to light that situation, because I learned so much working security at the Tennessee Welcome Centers, and it's horrific, Ben. It's horrific. But I mean, enough about like the overarching ideas. I saw that Jessa had mentioned that she wanted to be in a film and like actually be the slasher, and I was like, God damn, what if I had a woman slasher and like just not even juxtapose it to where it looks like it's a glaring, this is what we're doing, this is the idea that I want to push on you. Just fucking do it. Have them stab somebody up. Don't offer any ideas on like any kind of, we're just trying to do something with equality here. No, I just want a badass bitch with a knife and a purpose. And like, but the thing is, like, somebody like Jessa would be very difficult for me to push as a bad guy, because like she's just got this like angelic face. It's
Nah. That's what you want, though.
is that stinking thinking?
Like, that's what you want. So, and again, like this is where what I would really suggest is, I love the idea of isolation. I love the idea of
Isolation is it, you know?
yeah, is the biggest thing as far as like a rural setting goes, is isolation. Isolation is terrifying, right? Like when you're by yourself. That's why I think those home invasion movies.
I was just about to say that home invasion. Like I actually thought about, my parents are very important to me. I wouldn't dare tell them that. If you weren't my son, I'd hug you.
Right.
It's just one of those situations, but like, man, I think my parents would play ball and let me use them in the cold open to murder them both.
Oh, good.
I think so. And they've got this beautiful farm, and like, there's the isolation, there's the home invasion aspect of it. And that's just what I've got in my mind. It's superficial, but God damn it, that's where my head is.
So at the same time, here's the other thing I would suggest too, right? Like, whether it be short, feature, whatever, the biggest thing that your film should have, I would suggest, is a point of view, a direction for it, right? So let's say, regardless of the gender bend on a slasher is great. Like that's an awesome thing, and I think any genre fan will pick up on that right away. I don't necessarily think they're going to over politicize it in their minds. I think they'll be like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? A lot of people...
I want to do the opposite of what Hellraiser did. I love the casting. I hate the politics around it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the politics around that is ridiculous. But again, you want to talk about, and we'll say it correctly this time, hell of an actor, beautiful human being. Like, I mean, they nailed it to a wall. And like as a fan of like the Hellraiser movies, you have Pinhead on this pedestal. You know what I mean? You have him on a pedestal, and then to see it done right after seeing it done so poorly, like with the what is it, with the, like the Nightmare reboot, right?
Yeah,
like that's bad makeup, bro. That's bad makeup. The story is lackluster. It's whatever, and it puts this fear in you because it's the shit that you grew up with and you love so much. That was a good movie. That was the Hellraiser, good movie. Like,
yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah,
I was drawn to the lead actress.
Yeah,
and it's very much damn near film noir, because of the fact that there's not a single person in this film who is good. Everybody's damaged,
Yep.
and I fucking love it. But actually, you talked about the new Nightmare, not New Nightmare. Let's get that straight. It's not New Nightmare, the Nightmare remake.
Yeah,
I was actually okay with it because I like Jackie Earle Haley. However, the thing that pissed me off was there were no snarky, quips. Like, that is what made Freddy to me.
But
I need the snark.
That also was not Freddy in the first movie, though. Do you know what I mean? In Wes Craven,
he would talk his shit. But he wasn't being silly with,
right. It wasn't primetime bitch at that point in time.
Right.
Yeah. Like he had clearly he had a point of view. And that's the other thing. So when I talk about Curse of the Weredeer with people, the one thing people are like, well, what's your movie about? Right. Well, it's been pitched a couple of different ways. Lloyd is like, it's our new anti-hunting movie coming from trauma, right? He really wants to hit the anti-hunting angle, and I respect that. And
I can dig it. I did not even put that little seed in my head. Yeah.
Point. And when you watch the movie, I'm a little subtle with things, but I think the messaging gets through. But the way I describe it to people is it's a movie about the need for transparency in our relationships, is the way I pitch it to people. Is it's a movie about the need for transparency in our relationships. And that comes from what our lead is going through. And rather than smack people over the head with sort of this anti-hunting message, I think the way we hit it, and we probably hit it 2 or 3 times during the film, it's largely about, well, what you're doing out there, it's just a slaughter. This isn't even about conservation. This ain't about taking care of your family. This is just about satiating your primal lust for blood. You know what I mean? And I think that's a note that we really kind of want to get out there. I've never been like a big hunter. I don't really begrudge people that do it, but also there's another poignant little moment at the end of our film where and no spoilers, but basically we also end on a very LGBTQ plus sort of nod, at least borrowing from one of their key phrases. We do have a lot of like, and this is another thing I was concerned about. I'm less concerned about because I've shared the scenes with some friends of mine. One of the stars of our movie, our sheriff, Babette Bombshell. Are you familiar with Babette?
I am. Follow everywhere,
Dude.
or at least on Twitter and the gram.
So Babs, Reeves coined this, and I am taking it here because as I said, I have to mention his name more because he's gonna make me. And
he's gonna pitch a fit if you don't.
It's gonna be very sad if I don't say Reeves Elliott.
I don't want to have to block him on socials. Okay?
The Secret of Cuck also did very well at Scumdance. We got like Judge's Choice, and then we got best non-gender specific actor or best actor. Yeah, John Bergio. For that self-suck yoga thing, I think is what sold it. But a masterwork by Reeves Elliott, also screening again. By the time you see this coming Friday, December 2nd at Film Noir Cinema in Brooklyn. Anyway, now I forget what I was saying because
Babs.
Babs. So there was a part of me that's like, oh God, I hope our bachelor party doesn't come off as sort of like as sort of anti-gay, as sort of LGBTQ plus families and friends and all of this stuff. And I was like, hey, does this sound homophobic? I said that to a lot of people. I sent people pages. When Babs read it, said it was the funniest fucking thing ever. And she was like, if people are pissed about this, that's the people that you want to see it. And I was like, awesome. Thank you.
My understanding of Babette Bombshell is that Babette is a little bit different when it comes to the outlook. I don't think Babette's looking for acceptance. I think Babette I think Babette wants the weirdness. It's like, you know what? Back in the day, it was weird to you guys. I want to remain weird to you guys. I don't necessarily want this to be normal.
To finish the statement I was gonna make, what Reeves had coined. He is once referred to Babette Bombshell as the Forrest Gump of entertainment. And in getting to know Babs over the last year, Reeves ain't wrong, dude. Like rode a bus. Babs used to live in Chicago. Rode a bus with Wesley Willis. Would ride the same bus line. Wesley Willis has worked with Herschel Gordon Lewis and ran into the Fourth Doctor. And she told us this story on an episode of Totally Tunular. Ran into the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, at a late night bear bar in fucking London, right? Back in the 70s when Tom Baker was Tom Baker, right? Maybe 80s. Yeah, but still, and Tom Baker is still Tom Baker. But Babs did go on to say, well, I don't think he was there, looking for anything, but he stumbled across some new friends and they wanted to sit down with me. And I was like, you're my fucking hero. Is one of the few people I know to have turned Michael Jackson down for, I think it was either a part or a role in something. I'd have to go back and listen. And then there's a thing I learned recently about Babette that dropped my jaw that I can't share. One day I'll have to tell you, but it solidified this notion of being the Forrest Gump of the entertainment industry. Absolutely fucking bananas. The legend that is Babette Bombshell.
Fucking
Period.
love it.
Done.
I fucking love it.
But Bab said this, and all that to say this. Bab's a drag queen, has been doing drag for a jillion years, and says drag should be offensive. Drag should be a thing that is a spectacle and not a fashion show, right? Like
Right.
if you look at the Babette Bombshell, when Babs is out and about, you get a call to Divine, right? And Divine was a spectacle. Beginning and end was something that was kind of not just counterculture, but like offensive to the eye. Like was a thing that you like, whoa, you look away from just to turn around and look back and be like, let me see more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and to me, that is Babette Bombshell, like in a nutshell.
Well, I can't wait to be able to talk to Babette. I have not had other than, the occasional tweets here and there. Have not had the honor to sit down and chat it up. But
that is my heart, bro. I'm not even fucking with you. Babette Bombshell is my heart. And I'll go on further to say too, Nadia White, an amazing actress, came down, did the trailer for us because she was buddies with us, right? Because we'd all met in 2018 on Shitstorm, came down, worked on the trailer with us, and then came back for the feature. And each time, not only was it one of those things where it's like you meet someone who's acting and you're like, wow, you're great, that's awesome, you don't mind doing like shower scenes or whatever. When Nadia is not being Nadia White, adult film star, whatever, Nadia turns it the fuck on. Another amazing actor. Like she is unreal, and she delivers some performance in this that, and again, I don't want to belittle my friends, but it was more than I ever could have anticipated that she could give us. Again, I'm like my heart just fucking opened up, bro. Like it was wonderful. Like both of
pro
them.
wrestler too.
Pro wrestler now too. Yes. Again, what a fucking turn in your career, right? Like holy shit.
But it all ties in together, man. I always say that like those of us who like this thing are also going to like this thing and this thing, and we're not always a different person. It's a false dichotomy that people have invented. Like we are largely the same people who want to go and see, Michael Myers stab up Jamie Lee Curtis are also the people who are going to go and they're going to want to watch, Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar get after it. They're the same people that are going to, do this nonsensical bullshit that we do.
Yes.
And Ben, I love it, man. We've been getting after it. Tell me, are you on schedule? Where are you at on Weredeer?
Yeah, good question. Great fucking question. Yes, ish.
I'll take ish.
No. We're deep in the cut. We very much are. I am a slow editor, so I have turned over a portion to it to a guy named Benjamin Terry. He was down on set with us as our AD in April. And Terry is taking over portions of the edit. There are scenes that I feel very much need to have my hand and my voice in them. So I'm taking those over. Terry's helping with general construction. And we're hoping to have our assembly done in the next month and a half, somewhere in there. And then everything from that point, once assembly is done, is fine tuning and then building out and getting final cut after we've had a few watches. Lloyd wants to give some notes, which awesome. His notes on our script were tremendous. But we're yeah, I would say we're on target to have the film complete in April, a year from fucking shots going off. Yeah,
That's wild. That is so
yeah.
wild. So is there a funding campaign still going on, or is that taken care of?
Not currently. No, there is not. But I do have t-shirts available. If people want to buy a couple of t-shirts, man, like you can find me at Yarn Yeti on Instagram, yarn_Yeti, shit.house.productions. I run both of those. Just slide into them DMs and we'll figure out getting you a t-shirt. I like Venmo. That's a great way to get money.
And not only that, every our episode description here is going to have every link that we can throw in there. We're going to make sure that there's plenty of representation. But before we ride off into the gag reels, Ben, is there any final thoughts on your film? Maybe a call to action for us, the viewer?
I mean, listen, the biggest thing that I would leave anybody with is, keep an eye out for us, follow us, shit.house.productions, send us some love. We have a hell of a poster coming from a guy named Barry McLean Jr. He's got a comic book called Billy the Kit. It's from Blue Juice Comics. He's done some work with the what do you call them? The comic book men, the Kevin Smith kids, right?
Yeah.
So what I was, apart from like following our stuff and reaching out and seeing what you can see, like the other thing I would just simply say is, if you want to make a thing, the barriers have been broken down so much that the equipment, the programs, all of this stuff is affordable. You can make something of your own and get your friends involved. We're actually shooting this weekend, December 3rd. Shithouse. I should have mentioned this an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, where are you shooting?
We're shooting December 3rd. So we made a short called Speed McQueen for the Nashville 48-hour film festival, right?
Yes.
Weirdly, we got third place out of so many beautiful movies shot in Nashville, right? We got third place. Derek Woody Woodrow Johnson got Best Actor in Nashville. All right. As a result, we got the opportunity to shoot another 48 for a thing called Filmapalooza, which will be screening in LA. And then if we get in the top 8 from that screening, we'll go on to play Cannes with the movie that we shoot this weekend. So fingers crossed for top 8. I don't care about anything other than some Frenchy fucks looking at my shit. That's all I care about. Yeah,
I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm proud as hell of you, Ben. I thank you very much for coming on, giving me the last hour and a half of your life. It's been an absolute blast, a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Reach out again. I'll send you more names of people. There are a lot of people in the area, and that was the other thing. When I got back, when I moved back from Oregon, and then particularly when I got back from New York, I didn't realize how many people down here were doing things. And just talk to folks. If you have an interest in it, you will be shocked at how many other people either have a place for you to shoot in, have equipment, or have a passion, or have what you want, need, and can help facilitate. You will build lasting relationships. You will find shoulders to cry on. You will find hands to high five. You'll run through the fucking gauntlet of human emotion, and you'll make something good out of it, maybe.
I'm clipping that shit. I'm clipping that shit. Well, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Slasher Sports Cinema. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, support indie film. But as always, go forth and drink the blood of your enemies from the skulls of their children.